Well, it's a pleasure now to be joined live from Sarasota by a man who, of course, put together one of the best stretches of pitching that we've seen in Orioles history last season. He is Trevor Rogers, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Trevor, it's Glenn. It's great to see you. Looks like it's gorgeous today in Sarasota. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
Hey man, so I have to get to the bottom of the most important question yet. Last year, you showed us the pants. It
Yeah,
was one of my favorite conversations of the year.
yeah,
Was that a 2025 thing, or did it go so well that that's going to have to continue in 2026?
yeah. It's something I've talked to my wife about, and we're still kind of on the fence if we want to. She wants to wear them again this year. I think it might have been a 2025 thing, but
Okay.
that's to be determined for sure.
Wait, now is it one where like maybe you test it out, you test the waters, like one rough start, you say, all right, we got to go right back to the pants. We have
Yeah,
to.
yeah. I think it's going to be kind of a fill out process for
I
sure.
appreciate that. Hey Trevor, we speak about like superstitions, but I just mean from a practical sense. When you have a season like you had a year ago, what does the off season then look like to follow it up? Do you want to do things differently? Do you want to like I don't want to mess with anything? Like what is the practical end of having such an outstanding stretch of pitching?
Yeah, it's more of don't don't fix what isn't broken, but fix the things that need fixing. There's always room for improvement, ways to get better. Um, and we kind of talked about that in New York when at the end of the season last year. So we kind of addressed those small little details. It was nothing crazy, tighten up a couple of the breaking balls, clean up some mechanical stuff, and then just continue to get stronger in the lower half. And I think I've accomplished all three of those things.
Trevor, what would it mean? I know there's been a lot of talk and some of your teammates have been campaigning for it, but like what would it mean to you to be the opening day starter for this team?
And it's always been kind of a bucket list thing for me. I've always wanted to do it at least once. It'd be kind of a full circle moment just from when I got traded over here and it not going exactly the way any of us wanted it to. And just through a lot of hard work and, the weight training staff and the training department, pitching department, all just coming together and helping me getting back to where I needed to be. And, getting the call last year to go back up to the big leagues and then performing the way that I did. It's just kind of a full circle moment. And if I'm lucky enough to get the nod, man, I'd be excited and I'd give it my all to try to win that first game. But you know, if not, then we got 161 more games after that. So I'd be fired up either way.
Yeah, right. Like the Saturday start would be okay, I guess.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
100%.
it's still probably better than starting in Norfolk.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
we can context is good. Trevor Rogers is with us here on GCR live from down in Sarasota. Trevor, I think one of the maybe the best moments so far of spring training you were involved with, obviously, when Pete came over. I know I say best moments, you'd probably say, "Hey, I don't know if that was my best day." But can you walk me through that moment and Pete's arrival and how he's taken upon himself sort of this role to be this kind of calming presence or this guy and what you thought of it in the moment and what you think it says about him and what he's going to do for this team.
Yeah, it was huge. I think Albie has set the standard right out of the gate. If we want to get back to where we need to get to, we got to treat every day like it's day one. I think it's easy to, be ready to go, fired up for, baseball's back the first week of games. And, now that we're kind of in the dog days of spring right now, with the time change, guys are getting sluggish.
Hmm.
That's kind of where it comes down to like, hey, these are the days that kind of matter to get us where we need to be. And that was the kind of the meeting he had when I was on the mound. Our intensity wasn't there. Um, and he kind of just hit it home. Our intensity is not there. We need to pick it up. So just having a veteran presence like that with a lot of younger guys, I wouldn't say they're super young anymore, but youngish guys that still have a couple years under their belt, and can look to a leader like Pete that has had a lot of success in the big leagues and is going to be with us for a while, I think it's huge for this team.
That's really cool, man. That's a really cool thing that I think a lot of us were like, wow, that really says to your point, right? Like, I think a lot, it would be easy for a lot of guys to say, dude, it's spring, right? Like, none of this
Right.
matters, you know?
Right.
To have that intensity, have you sensed that that's permeated through your group, that like that has been felt by everyone? Like, we're not going to allow ourselves to fall into this sort of lull just because it's the spring.
Yeah, 100%. There's always chatter in the dugouts, like a good energy, always in the dugout, rooting our teammates on, and I think stuff like that matters, especially going into the season. If we have good energy, during the dog days of spring, the back end of spring, and then we get to games that actually matter, and getting fired up for opening day in the next 6 months of baseball, I think it carries a lot of weight for sure.
What's the competition been like among the starters? I mean, to the point, I think we know you're pretty safe, but like this is a nice the situation to be in where we know there's six. I mean, before obviously Craig said that Tyler was committed to be in the bullpen, seven
Mhm. Yeah.
qualified major league starters, and that's not even counting Suarez and some of the younger guys. What has that done? Like everybody pushing and knowing that like nothing's given. You kind of have to earn it right now.
Yeah, it's everything that this team and this starting staff wants. I try not to look at it that way. I always look at it from like I got to win a spot because I think you start thinking like, oh, I already got a spot. That's when you start getting complacent. Um, and complacency in baseball is deadly. So that's always been my outlook to try to compete in a smart way. You don't want to blow the gates out in March. But the starting staff that we're going to have is probably the most underrated, least talked about starting rotation in all of baseball. Probably the best command staff in all of baseball. Like the stuff that we have, even if we do go to a 5 or 6 man, I have no idea what the front office is going to do, but it's going to be really fun. We're all competitive. We all root for each other, but we also are very competitive and we want to go show out. So we're a very tight knit group, and it's going to be really fun to compete uh, with a full season with these guys.
Now, I know you mentioned the possibility of it being six men. A lot has been made of innings, and the discussion would be that like Kyle has only thrown so many innings in recent years, but I know your career high was 124 at the big league level, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
how do you go from and I know we say 14 starts, but it was 14 starts at the major league level. You had also pitched clearly in the minors a year ago. Like,
Yeah.
has that been something that you put focus on? Is there a way to be prepared? Because obviously you guys are hoping to be pitching well into October next year. Like,
Hmm.
is there something that you can do to be thinking about adding innings, or is that something that just sort of has to come as the year goes on?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. It's something that I've always wanted to do, but just the way my career went early on, it just didn't quite go that way. And I think it was kind of a blessing in disguise. It kind of taught me how to take care of my body and listen to my body a lot better. And Bassett's been huge this spring. It's like I don't want to see someone throwing upper 90s in February and you be on the shelf in June or July or be burnt out in September, October. Um, so that was really insightful to hear from him. And um, as far as like the innings go, I don't really try to control that. I can't really control that. It's more of just trying to keep my routine consistent and really just listen to my body. If my body's sore, we need to, lighten the workload, then I communicate that with the training staff and the weight staff. Um, so that's definitely on the bucket list this year is to try to throw a lot more innings, but you know, try to take it one day at a time and we'll see how it goes.
Let me ask it this way, because I know if I bring up the topic of an extension, you're going to say, yeah, that's that the team's going to have to figure that out, and I completely understand. I think there are people that have the mentality of, hey, once I'm into the season, I just want to focus on that. I kind of want to not be thinking about contract things along those lines. Are you that type of person, or is that something that like, hey, if it came up in June, we can talk about it in June. I'm happy to, try to get something done whenever it's time to get it done.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the middle of the road. If it ever did come up, I would more of just have them talk to my agents, and if it's anything significant, then my agents could reach out to me. Um, but yeah, I'm kind of middle of the road. I try to keep locked in on baseball, and if it comes up, then it comes up.
I mean, we're hoping that it comes up. I can say that from back here in Baltimore. We're hoping that it's a topic that comes up.
Yep.
What is your like mentality going into this year, Trevor? Like I know from the outside, everybody's talking about can Trevor Rogers follow it up? But what is your like? How do you handle all of that? Compartmentalize it, and like what are the biggest like goals for Trevor Rogers in 2026?
It's interesting you say that. I'm not. I've had this. I've talked to my mental skills guy repeatedly over the spring. We talk every week, and I don't really have a desire to follow anything up. The only thing I have a desire to do is be consistent like I was last year. And, it was great. I had a good year, but I was still sitting on my couch in early October. So it's like, what good did that do, And I try to put this in a positive way, but it's really hard to have, a sub two ERA through 30 starts. And not saying it can't be done, but it's really hard. But I'm not, again, I'm not really trying to focus on that aspect of it. I'm just trying to really be consistent. And every time I take the ball, every fifth or sixth day, I give my team an opportunity to win, and they know that what they're going to get every time I'm out there.
I appreciate that. All right, what even so give me an idea, like off days when you have a moment during the spring, what do you allow yourself to get into? Are you just complete when you talk about mental performance, like are you zoned in on watching stuff, or is it important for you to have something, golf, hobby, whatever it is, when you're not pitching or when it's not your day?
Yeah, I'm a big golf guy. I love golf. Well, the wife and I actually went out yesterday and played. It's always nice to get out there and just get away from everything. And I like Legos too. A big Lego guy, but it's kind
Well,
of hard to build Legos during the season because they're not very travel friendly. They start to break apart. So that's definitely more of an off-season hobby for me. So yeah, I kind of just keep to those two things really.
you got something that you built this year? I mean, like I know that Legos. This is a very popular throughout the clubhouse thing. It feels like
Yeah,
everybody on your team
yeah.
is into building Legos. What's something that you did this off season that was particularly cool?
I did. They came out with a Mario Kart where he was actually riding his go kart. So I built
Oh,
that, and then I built one of those little piranha plants off of Mario. So it was very Mario themed this off season.
I have an 11-year-old, and I might have to look into that Mario Kart one for him.
Yeah,
Trevor Rogers, it's so great to catch up with you, man. We can't wait to see you up here in Baltimore here in just a couple of weeks and hopefully on opening day. Best of luck as you guys get into the season. Thank you so much for taking the time for us. We really appreciate it.
yeah, absolutely. Anytime. I appreciate it.